Last thing I wanted to get into before we go over Steelers Eagles. Actually, it's going to be a good segue to Steelers Eagles because we're talking about two players from those respective teams. So Mike Tomlin, again, in his Tuesday press conference, was answering questions from reporters, and one of those questions was about Saquon Barkley. And Tomlin, being a fan of the NFL, respects Saquon Barkley's game. I think all of us do, right? We know Saquon Barkley is one of the best, if not the best running back in the league. So he had some high praises for Saquon, but I'm wondering if he went a little bit too far in his praise for the Philadelphia Eagles running back. So hear me out on this. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin praised Barkley during his Tuesday press conference, calling the running back the most significant acquisition in the NFL in 2024. That's what his tape looks like, Thomas said. He's been dominant, eye-opening at times. Obviously, highlight reel caliber plays, long runs, touchdowns, etc. It starts there for us. If you can't minimize him in some way, you're not even going to position yourself to have a chance to be successful. Is he overlooking his own team's acquisition of Russell Wilson here? I think so. I think you can make a case for Saquon Barkley. I think it's close. Like, both acquisitions have been very significant. Both acquisitions would probably be categorized as one of the best or two of the best from this offseason. Like, if you look at it, both the Steelers and Eagles could probably be playoff teams without Saquon and Russ. You saw how we were doing with Fields. Last year with Kenny Pickett, Mason, and Mr. Trubisky, we made the playoffs. Last year with the Eagles, they made the playoffs without Saquon. But adding those two dudes give the Eagles and the Steelers just another level up. They have catapulted their teams into legit Super Bowl contention with their presence. But I think the difference is Russell Wilson's a quarterback. And that's why I would say it's the better acquisition or the more significant acquisition, because I just flat out think quarterback has a bigger impact on the offense and really the rest of the team more than any other position. Not saying that Saquon Barkley doesn't have an impact, not saying dudes on defense don't have impact, but it's all about the quarterback, man. When you're talking about an elite guy, we didn't bring in average quarterback X. We brought in Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson is playing like an elite quarterback right now. He's playing like a top 5 guy. And you know what that means for your team's chances to win a Super Bowl. You're going to have a chance, like, no matter what, man. If you got that quarterback and he's playing like that, no matter how your defense is playing, no matter how your offense is playing, or if you're stalling out in the first half, you're always going to have a chance with a Russell Wilson playing the way that he is, a Patrick Mahomes, a Joe Burrow. Now, Joe Burrow with his defense, that was actually, for this season for him, that was actually just way too bad. He couldn't overcome that. But if you look at all the Super Bowl teams, all the teams that have won the Super Bowl over the last, 20, 25 years, they all have an elite quarterback. They all have a franchise quarterback. Outside of the two outliers, which were Nick Foles and Joe Flacco, and they, for that playoff run, for that stretch, for the Super Bowl, played like a franchise quarterback. But that's not something you're counting on. No one's counting on a backup quarterback leading their team to the promised land because they're going to all of a sudden play like a franchise quarterback, an elite quarterback in the playoffs like that. Every other dude, though, like it's Big Ben, it's Brady, it's Peyton Manning, it's an Aaron Rodgers, it's a Matt Stafford, a Patrick Mahomes. Those are all the dudes that have won Super Bowls over the last 20, 25 years. It's not just average quarterback. It's not Kirk Cousins. It's not, Tua. It's not those type of dudes. It's you got to be a guy, man, because you got to go either 3 games in a row or 4 games in a row in high pressure environments, either on the road, like these big stages, late in games, second halves, fourth quarters, when it's like got to have it drives. And like, that's the type of stuff that separates the top 10, the top 15 from the top 5, the elite dudes. And Russell Wilson is playing like that. So I think that's why it's the more significant acquisition this offseason. Saquon Barkley's playing good. There's a reason that he's in this MVP conversation. I get it. He has that type of impact. But if Jalen Hurts has a bad game in the playoffs, Eagles are done. Eagles are done. Like, I get Saquon Barkley can carry the team to a degree, but if Hurts is playing bad, if Hurts is playing, frankly, how he has been playing the last like 2 or 3 weeks, the Eagles are getting bounced first or second round. Whereas like running back, run game could be having like for any given team, could be having a so-so game. If that quarterback's cooking, man, you're fine. Defense, quarterback can keep you in it if they're slinging, if they're cooking. And Russ has been cooking. If your team's getting some penalties, man, you get behind the sticks a little bit. You got a 1st and 10 holding. It gets to 1st and 20. Then you get to 2nd and 13. It's 3rd and 10. Quarterback converts on that 3rd and 10, drops a dime. You ain't worried about the penalties. So, I just think quarterback, most important position in the league. Russ is playing at an elite level. I think he's the more significant acquisition. He's the better acquisition. If you want to be splitting hairs here, if you're making me pick between Russell Wilson and Saquon Barkley, I'm taking Russell Wilson as the better acquisition. Now, Tomlin didn't in this press conference, but I don't think he's doing a bad thing here in buttering up the opponent and giving the opposition the opposite of bulletin board material. No reason to I guess raise the stakes or make the Eagles any more heated by saying something like, "Yeah, Saquon, good acquisition for him, but I like our guy better." Yeah, no reason for that. So like I'm not saying Tomlin is doing anything wrong here, but it sparked my mind in thinking that like is he right in saying that? What about our own guy? What about our own acquisition in Russell Wilson?